The NBA's two most storied and successful franchises are both changing hands a few months apart, as the Lakers are set to be sold for a record price. Top of the morning to you on this Thursday, June 19th, as the U.S. celebrates its Juneteenth holiday. I'm Sports Business Journal senior writer Joe Lemire with today's Morning Buzzcast. At the risk of being the newsman who cried extra or stop the presses one too many times, we've got another industry-altering story to share. 2 days ago, I mentioned how TV viewership had crossed the Rubicon, and a majority of viewing was consumed via streaming instead of broadcast and cable. Now, we have another milestone, a sports franchise selling at a valuation of $10 billion, obliterating the U.S. record of $6.1 billion that the Celtics sold for in March. In a shock news flash from ESPN yesterday afternoon, the Los Angeles Lakers will reportedly be sold to Los Angeles Dodgers majority owner Mark Walter for that price. A small handful of teams have published valuations higher than the Lakers, but none has ever sold for anything close. This is a 64% increase over that Celtics price. This ends more than 45 years of ownership by the Buss family. Back in 1979, Jerry Buss acquired the Lakers, the NHL's Kings, the Forum, and a 13,000-acre ranch from Jack Kent Cooke for $67.5 million. Even after adjusting for inflation, that's still a hair less than $300 million in today's dollars. Walter adds to a growing sports portfolio headlined by the Dodgers, but also including the WNBA Sparks, the Billie Jean Cup, Cadillac Formula One, and the PWHL. In 2021, he acquired a minority stake in the Lakers with the right of first refusal for majority control, which he obviously exercised here this week. Under Walter's ownership, the Dodgers have been a veritable cash cow, running a great business in the market, in the country, and even internationally, especially in Japan. When it comes to revenue, the Dodgers are greatly outpacing even other MLB heavyweights, such as the Yankees, Red Sox, and Cubs, and lapping a lot of the field. It'll be interesting to see the approach with the Lakers, given how well-run that franchise has seemed to be already, and Jeannie Buss is said to be continuing in her role as team governor. We'll certainly have more on this story, but it's just remarkable that the two most historic franchises would both sell so close to each other. The Celtics have 18 NBA championships, the Lakers have 17. That's 35 and nearly half of the 77 NBA championships contested to date, with the 78th to be decided as early as tonight, as the Thunder hold a 3-2 lead in the finals over the Pacers. That wasn't even the only possible franchise sale yesterday. The Tampa Bay Rays have confirmed to Sportico report that they are in advanced talks to sell the team. Stuart Sternberg has led the ownership group since 2004, and there is a signed letter of intent from an investment group led by Florida home builder Patrick Zalupski for a $1.7 billion valuation, nearly a 9x hike since Sternberg bought the franchise 2 decades ago. Zalupski is the 45-year-old billionaire founder and CEO of Dreamfinders Homes, which is based in Jacksonville, and he's a member of the University of Florida's Board of Trustees. Also in the prospective ownership group is Bill Cosgrove, the CEO of Union Home Mortgage, and Ken Babby, the owner of 2 minor league baseball teams, the AA Akron Rubber Ducks and AAA Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Babby is also the son of Lon Bobby, the former Phoenix Suns president of basketball operations. Other Tampa Bay investors are said to be part of the group. Early indications are that the group intends to keep the franchise in the Tampa area and perhaps make a new attempt at building a ballpark on that side of the bay. The Rays, as you've heard on this Buzzcast a few times, had come close to starting work on a new St. Petersburg ballpark that later got scuttled after Hurricane Milton wreaked considerable damage on the area and even destroyed the roof of Tropicana Field, rendering that venue unplayable. The Rays, as you know, are playing in the Yankee spring training home, George Steinbrenner Field, for this year, but are expected to return to the Trop following repairs next year. Zalupski has some sports connections, as his Dreamfinders Homes has been a PGA Tour partner as its official home builder since 2022, with a recent extension carrying that deal through 2031. But ownership will be new for him, and we're sure to learn more about him and his group in the coming days and weeks. In the meantime, it's worth reflecting for a moment on Sternberg's tenure. He first became a general partner of the franchise during the 2004 season, at which point the then Devil Rays franchise had never finished anything but last place in their division. By 2008, however, the newly christened Rays won the AL pennant before losing to the Phillies in the World Series, and they've only returned to last place once, as opposed to 4 AL East division titles and 5 other wildcard appearances. They won a second pennant in 2020, that time losing in the World Series to Walter's Dodgers. They've become a model for baseball operations, at least among those departments working with a limited budget. Those same economic restrictions hampered their ability to retain star talent, and constantly trading it away, even if it helped them build for the future, made the job of business operations that much harder. The Rays kept churning out good young talent to stay competitive, even when it was tough to sell tickets with mostly anonymous players. Following the Rays' decision to exit their stadium deal in March, however, reports surfaced that Commissioner Manfred and other owners had begun urging Sternberg to sell. The letter of intent is not binding, so this deal could fall apart, but the Rays have confirmed they are negotiating exclusively with the Zalewski-fronted group. Over to golf, the KPMG Women's PGA Championship tees off today with a record-tying $12 million purse. That's up $1.6 million in overall prize money since last year, and tying the LPGA for most in the women's game. KPMG also offers all the golfers ShotLink-style performance insights, and this year is adding AI-powered analysis that will be delivered at the end of each round for the players to review. The tournament is being held at PGA of America headquarters in Frisco, Texas, at its Field Ranch East course, the first of several men's and women's majors to be scheduled there. NBC, Golf Channel, and Peacock are providing TV and streaming coverage. The PGA Tour renewed with AT&T on a new multi-year deal as the titular sponsor of the signature event, AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. The telecom giant has been the namesake since 1986, making it the longest on the tour. Our Josh Carpenter noted that specific financials were not available, but signature event sponsorships typically run around $25 million per year. This week, the PGA Tour is in Connecticut for the Travelers Championship. NFL Uber insider Adam Schefter will be making his on-course debut as a golf reporter, covering the Rory McIlroy-Keegan Bradley group for PGA Tour Live on ESPN+. Dana White confirmed to SBJ that TKO Group's new boxing venture will carry the name Zuffa Boxing. Zuffa, our Adam Stern noted, is the name of the company that the Fertitta brothers and White used when they bought UFC in 2001 for $2 million. White added that he is excited to work with Netflix on coverage. While doing an interview with Jim Rome yesterday to promote UFC's new Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu circuit launching next week, he noted that the first Zuffa boxing bout will be held at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. SailGP, which competed in New York City earlier this month, announced that private equity giant Ares Management is a new minority investor for its French team. Ares has a wide range of sports investments, including Inter Miami CF, McLaren Racing, and Atlético de Madrid. SailGP also noted that it signed Deloitte to oversee the addition of 2 expansion teams ahead of the 2026 season. Adidas joined a slew of startups seeking to reimagine footwear for women's sports with the release of its F50 Spark Fusion soccer cleats, built from feedback and testing with women athletes such as Washington Spirit and U.S. women's national team forward Trinity Rodman. I had the opportunity to write about this topic of women's footwear for last week's SBJ Women's Sports newsletter, focusing primarily on a quartet of startups working in the space. Historically, this is wild to think about, women's footwear started with what's called a last, that is the model of the foot, that was based on men's anatomy, and that practice consisted until very recently. They would then shrink it and pink it, as they say, figuring that reducing the size and changing the color palette would make it marketable to women. But women's feet typically have a different shape, lower ankle bones, slimmer heels, wider toe boxes, that's the forefoot width, and higher arches. Plus, they are usually a lighter mass and thus produce less force, meaning the bottom sole of the shoe needs to be adjusted as well. Given the high risk factor for leg injuries in women, especially ACL tears, which are happening at 6 times the rate of men, that's a real performance and safety issue. Among the other players in this space are Heddas and Seish for running, Ida Sports for soccer cleats, and Moolah Kicks for basketball. A cheerleading group called Varsity Spirit is launching a new professional competition. The Pro Cheer League will be open to athletes 18 and older who want to keep competing. The first event will be in Indianapolis in January. The Memphis-based Varsity Spirit Company attracts more than 80,000 people annually to its events. There will be 4 teams of 30 cheerleaders each, men and women, with geographic affiliations tied to Atlanta, Dallas, Miami, and San Diego. Indy is the first of 5 events to be followed by Houston, Atlanta, Anaheim, and the championship in Nashville next spring. One SBJ programming note before I wrap up. Coming up on this week's SBJ Sports Media Podcast, Austin Karp is joined by SBJ colleagues Ben Fisher and Josh Carpenter to break down the implications of Brian Rolap's move from the NFL to the PGA Tour. Also, SailGP's Melissa Lawton joins Karp to discuss the series deal with CBS and its other media efforts. Finally, Vice TV's Pete Gaffney breaks down the strategy shift for the company and its plans in sports moving forward. All that and more this week on the SBJ Sports Media Podcast, available now. Like and subscribe to the SBJ Sports Media Podcast, available now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. That's all for me today. This is Joe Lemire signing off for the Morning Buzzcast. Have a great Thursday.